What up?
I'm gonna, you know what? It's we already have a few more weeks before we have to get a new opening because the new season's coming up, and I would have missed the opening.
I was thinking the same thing, man. I think it's time for us to retire that one and get a new one and do something where you're not killing squirrels.
Maybe
when you're not killing squirrels.
Maybe we can throw suggestions out to the audience and ask them what kind of intro would you not like. We necessarily going to be something foolish, but I mean, what kind of intro would you like us to come in? Now, we like sports. We like the intro. We got the shield, the Bible. So that's, maybe for the next couple of weeks, we can give that out.
Yeah.
What kind of intro would you like us to come? Now, you might get an intro and say, you don't have no intro.
Just come on the show.
Just come on the show. That can work too. Whatever. So how was your weekend, man?
Hey man, it was good. Really good weekend. Busy because it was our food pantry weekend, but it was also our Thanksgiving basket because we don't have another one before Thanksgiving. Okay. So this was a busy one. We served about 100 baskets, which is pretty good.
Nice.
Which was nice. Everybody's, we got turkeys out there, and everybody got the, sweet potatoes and cranberry and all that kind of stuff, stuffing and extra stuff. And it was good though. The weekend was good. How was yours?
It was busy as well. I mean, oh man, this weekend was like a blur. I mean, it was a lot going on this weekend, project-wise at home, project-wise at church. Went to a beautiful birthday celebration on Saturday, which you'll talk more about. But I just want to say, went to that on Saturday, and it's been busy, man. It's hard to believe next month
it's Thanksgiving
will be December.
Dang.
I mean, we haven't gotten through Thanksgiving yet. My neighbors already got their Christmas decorations up.
Yeah, they do. He's not lying.
My daughter's room we got a Christmas tree up. I don't know why they put the Christmas tree up already in my house. They love Christmas here. They love it.
Can the turkey cook first? Please let the turkey cook.
Some of the turkeys ain't even come out the store yet.
we used to. I'll let Simon talk first before I.
He got something to say. Oh, well, like Mark was saying, this was a beautiful weekend. I'm thanking my family, Simone, the host, Sabrina, the worker, Simon, the worker, Kirsten, the worker,
and your grandkids were workers too.
My grandkids, let me call them by name, Samara, Eva, and even EJ running around. It was my beautiful wife's birthday party. We had a birthday party.
I saw the face.
Initially, I'm getting to that. Initially, tomorrow is her birthday, which I'm going to say happy birthday also to Teresa Saunders. It's her birthday also. And I'm sure we can fact check this one, that it's Fiona Davis's birthday also too. So I'm giving a shout out to November people, but we had a beautiful birthday party. It was her 60th.
Woo!
So yes, as young as she is, it was her 60th birthday party. Friends came over. We all had a good time, and she had a good time, and she's enjoyed it. It was a surprise birthday. Yes, I had to say a few things that was untrue to get her there, but just to deviate, but it was beautiful.
But we also got to recognize this young man's birthday is coming up this weekend.
That's next week.
No, we still shouting happy early birthday to this young man. So come on, let's get it out there.
No, that's the next show. No, it will be.
No, but still.
Anyway. Happy birthday, Rachel. It's her birthday tomorrow. We gave you a beautiful shout out. Thank you very much, young lady. You deserve it.
So tonight, as we talked about last week, we went up to Congress 2.0. And so tonight we're going to show you the live version, but also will give you the opportunity to comment on the live version with the three of us. And as they say, first, let you say your part, then I'm going to say my part, and we're going to get right into it.
Saints of God, children of heaven, we want you to push the button, share it, like it, subscribe, walk across the street, knock the door, ring the bell, tell them just right now, subscribe to the Warriors United FC or Warriors United for Christ. We have two names. You're welcome. Enjoy your deer tonight.
So as they used to say, roll the videotape.
You're not going to say anything? Oh, my bad. Oh, wait. Okay.
Okay. You're welcome.
You need to turn it up some.
Which he does, which I'm going to. So on this show today, we're going to have a great show. We're going to talk about the generational gap and how we can close it. What do we do rising there? Things on that level. So we're going to start by asking to bring up our three panelists. Now, let's give a round of applause as they come up. Now, they will answer some questions, but we also want you to answer questions. So we do have a mic there. So when you're ready to ask a question or respond to a question, please come to the mic and give your response, okay? Okay? Okay. All right. Now, I know you're not on the Facebook channel and you're not on the YouTube. I sometimes people like to type, so we don't need to see their actual faces. So tonight we can see faces. But feel free to do the same thing. Raise your hand. Don't be shy. We love what we have to ask. So we're going to continue from episode 38. And one of the statements.
You might need to turn the volume up. We get some text to turn the volume up.
Go beyond the congregation.
I'm sorry?
Can you turn the volume up if possible?
I can't turn the volume up higher in here. Is it low for you guys?
Yeah. I mean, as you're talking, it's loud, but the video is not as loud.
I don't know. It's pretty loud on my end.
Okay.
I'll see if I can turn it up, though.
All right.
Beyond the generational competition.
The answer would be no.
You could not wait to get to youth conference. See, today the youth conference is not well attended. So the thing is, why are we competing against each other? So this is what we have all one of our statements said, get beyond the generational competition. So I think we have to realize, number one, we're in a recruiting process. So I think we have to realize that Youth Congress was doing very well. And the organization decided that they wanted to come together and kind of go in a different direction. And so because of that, we're in a rebuilding stage. So I just wanted to address that first part about attendance. I think also the generational competition, I think we have to realize that we are in a different time where church isn't emphasized as it was generations ago. So there is a generation who really doesn't understand the concept of attending church or the concept of attending a youth conference. When I was growing up, I think it was kind of an automatic thing that you were going to youth conference or in this case now Congress 2.0. And so I don't think that's necessarily what is the norm now. So we're working against a different culture altogether. So I kind of wanted to put that out there. Anybody else? Well, Pastor Allen's wife. Now remember, don't go to preaching mode. No, I think that statement about getting beyond the generational competition.
My wife just said, she sent me a note that it said it sounds far. Like it's hard. I can hear it very clearly. So I'm kind of like, why can't everybody else hear it? Because I can hear it pretty good. Can you guys hear it pretty clearly or no?
It still sounds like it's far.
Yep.
But again, as you're speaking, you're clear, but the video itself is
We can hear it,
Uh-huh.
but we have to be very quiet.
Somebody's I can't hear you at all.
Okay.
That's strange because I can hear it just fine. So I don't know why. Let me see. Let me try the other version.
Okay.
Maybe they can hear that one better. Let me get
All
that
right.
one.
All right.
Let's go
So
to
while
because we
he's
want people to
doing
hear it. It makes it
Yeah.
look good if you can't hear it.
This was a good conversation that was going on. And so while you're doing that, I'll
there's
just
a lot of good conversations.
So the question was trying to bridge the competition of the generational gap, meaning that how the previous generation is speaking to this current generation as the things we see lack of. So that's how this conversation was going.
Okay, so it's going to start again. Sorry, folks. This one I can't control so easily. So let's try it.
That's okay for those who tuned in late.
Welcome to the Warriors United Christ. We are here at Congress 2.0.
You can hear that one?
Better,
Yes.
crisp, clear.
Fast forward. Yeah, right there.
There
That's
you go.
cool.
Youth Congress is not well attended. So the thing is, why are we competing against each other? This is about that.
So we're ready to go.
So that's where we left off. One of our statements said, get beyond the generational competition.
So I think we have to realize, number one, we're in a recruitment process. So I think we have to realize that Youth Congress was doing very well, and the organization decided that they wanted to come together and kind of go in a different direction. And so because of that, we're in a rebuilding stage. So I just wanted to address the first part about attendance. But I think also the generational competition, I think we have to realize that we are in a different time where church isn't emphasized as it was generations ago. So there is a generation who really doesn't understand the concept of attending church or the concept of attending a youth conference. When I was growing up, I think it was kind of an automatic thing that you were going to youth congress, or in this case now, Congress 2.0. And so, but I don't think that's necessarily what is the norm now. So we're working against a different culture altogether. So I kind of wanted to put that out there.
Okay. That culture thing.
Pastor Allen's quiet. Now remember, don't go into preaching mode.
No, I think that statement about getting beyond the generational competition, we still have young people here that are still saved, that are still excited about opportunities to come together. And as we discussed, Congress 2.0 is an opportunity for us to have the young people, the young adults, get the opportunity that they don't normally get in their regular churches, whether you have a church of 500 or a church of 5, right? There are some that do not have the opportunity, and so we create that space for them to be able to do stuff. But there are a lot of things that that you guys had back in your time, your senior time, right? You say senior time?
Yes, you said senior time.
That you guys had, right? That we have now, right? Like, we may not have hundreds of people in the choir stand, but we may have hundreds of views online, right? So that, now we have our social media, we have all things that people can go back to, whereas, you had to wait on the VHS, and you had to wait on the DVDs, and you had to wait on, hallelujah. I'm just making a statement here.
Is he throwing shade?
I'm not. I'm just saying, but, on YouTube, you can just go right back to it, at a click of a button. So that's all.
So this is my thing, right? Because you're saying you can't use these young people, right, during this time. Well, aren't those are the same young people that are being used in their church that you're using here? Because normally you ask the pastor, is this person ready to go? And they give you people that probably already used. Are you actually finding new people, or are you just using people that are already used?
So we have the platform. I'm sorry that I pass it on. I believe we developed a platform that, of course, right now with us bringing Congress back and us trying to revamp from COVID, because again, Congress 2.0 was birthed again out of COVID. So by us now rebuilding Post-COVID, you know, we are able to, yes, right now you may see some of the same people, but these same people are now also leading at our convocations or leading in other platforms where we, you know, give that opportunity here. And then by us continuing to get the word out, it'll give them an opportunity to say, okay, well, I want to be able to do that. And so they work on their craft and development so that when we do go to their pastor and say, hey, do you have someone that can read scripture? Do you have someone that can pray? Do you have someone that can be a part of the praise team? You know, we can still use it in that area as well.
All right. Anyone? Okay.
LJ's been kind of quiet. I'm like, LJ.
Okay, so we can kind of touch base on where they at right now, right? So a lot of things were said. There's a couple things that were said.
Yeah,
So
that we're old.
Yeah, we're old. But now, Simon, me and Mark were there, so we'll let you go first. And you pick which one of the comments you want to touch base on. And we do have a statement here by somebody in the audience, so we'll get that up there.
Woo, I wish I was there.
I wish you were too.
Lord. Hey, look, there's just some things that I had to set them right down. And when the pastor had mentioned something about the masses and see, okay, the churches when we went to church, and you know, I have nothing against church, the youth and all that stuff. We're talking about structure, and they said something about, because I did ask a question. I'm sorry, were there rules in the church? It wasn't answered about that. Now, I'm not talking about rules. You have to do this. You better do this, or we're gonna kick you out. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about like protocols. I'm talking about what you do when somebody does come into church. How long do they have to be in the church before you put them in office, or they want to volunteer for an office? As soon as they come in, you put them in, because you have to remember that also people have backgrounds that we don't even know. And they coming in. So we still got to be sensitive about that. And I know that it's souls, which I heard a whole lot. We're here to save souls, which is a true matter. It is true matter. But just like a job sometimes, and you can't really compare job to church, but when someone's going for a new job, sometimes you have to look at their background before they come in. Because depending on what job that you have or you applying for, you have to be careful on who you hiring for that job. So I understand the souls part and all that. And then, of course, being old. So my question then, and then I can finish. I'm going to finish now. But my question is, and I'm only going to throw these out because it's going to be controversial. Okay. My question is, are you churches comfortable that if we did in December, everybody over the age of 45, we want you to take off from church. You can come to church, just take off and let whoever's under 45, let them do the duties that are doing around the church. Are you comfortable?
We'll definitely get to that. I think we'll
talk
about that. Let's talk about some of the things though, like the culture thing that Sean talked about, right? One of the things he talked about was teaching church. I think that Anita kind of bring Anita's statement in. Mark, if you want to read that.
Okay.
Good statement.
Go ahead, someone be biased. Go ahead and read it.
Sean made a good. So Anita Brodus said Sean made a good point that church isn't emphasized as years ago. In my opinion, getting saved and having a relationship with God should strongly be encouraged more so than today. I mean, that's a point that Sean kind of brought up, and I don't think he was trying to make that a positive. I think that was the reason why he was saying that we don't see some of the things that we see that we might have saw years ago. What do you guys think? Do you think that church isn't emphasized? I mean,
I think it depends on the church. I think it depends on the church. Because I know where we go, it's emphasized. So,
but how so?
Well, we have a youth pastor who is instrumental in making sure the youth are recognized, that the youth are getting to different locations where they need to be. making sure that the congregants are there to help motivate the youth.
And we do have Youth Sunday, which
Right.
is every third Sunday, and they practically run the service.
And we have
Yeah,
children's church
And we have children's church.
every Sunday.
But I know you have those things.
Okay.
Is it emphasized the way it might have been that church, to go to church is that important? Like, is it emphasized? Like, is there a, hey, you need to be, like, we're going to this church meeting, we're doing this. Is it emphasized the way it might have been 25 years ago?
Oh, to that point,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, I guess it depends on who.
But not every church is going to have. Don't we have new members class?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So and is church is that part right? So that's okay. That's a great question, right? So and anybody can answer this to anybody. But is it new members class? New members class 25 years ago might have been, yeah, we go to convocation, we go to men's meeting, we go to women's meeting, district international, we go to the youth congress, district international, our local stuff. We have to visit there every month. We go here. We have a fifth Sunday service. We expect and we appreciate that you come along with us as we go and we travel. Is that taught today? I know we don't teach that, but is that taught today that those are the things that you've got to do as a 25-year-old coming into the church with your one child? Do we teach that kind of stuff to those folks?
Well, maybe next time, I guess, I have to go into a new members class because I know that we do have them.
Right.
And I think one class, I think a class is going on now. Not when I say now, not right now, but during the next month, because we do have new members. I think they're going through that. And the only way you're going to find, probably have to attend the class.
No, so I've taught new members, and each teacher has different segments.
Mm.
So each one will bring something. So my segment wasn't particular to your question, so I can't answer what the other teachers were doing.
Yeah, I just know that it's something that I've seen even before the pandemic a little bit, but even more so during the pandemic, that this generation doesn't travel. They'll do youth, but when it comes to some of the other services that are out there, they don't travel as well as we did at our age. And I think that's because we don't have that mentality that church is not just Sunday. We serve every day. So you can be called to go someplace on a Tuesday night and you should be ready to go. But there is an emphasis on, I have other things to do. Where like by my parents, it was always, whatever it was, if church came first, right?
Oh, exactly.
Which was emphasized, wait a minute, by somebody that a Saturday. Yeah, because it's family structure. What you gonna do with family? I can't say word for word about it, but it says, why would we do something every Saturday? Because you got family.
Yeah, that's talked about. Well, and we'll get to that.
Gerard,
Gerard,
everything I'm saying right now is wrong because we got to get to it.
I can't find it. I would have to hunt it down. But Gerard said, "I'm not calling you old. You didn't tell you called the seniors, bro.
You did so. You called the
seniors.
You did so. Shall we play it back?
Fact check."
And then he said, we don't have time for cassettes. I'm like, cassettes?
Yeah. That explains it.
Come
cassettes.
On.
Yeah.
Right.
I think he said something about the 8-track too.
So now, she says, age shouldn't be a factor. We're all living in a critical times and need God more than ever. You better preach. Whether you're in your 80s or 8, it should make no difference. The enemy is trying to snatch our children away.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Yeah. I mean, we are in a critical time, right? And we do need God more than ever. But I think that the part of the question they have is, well, the way that you guys want to present God or give guidance that you have God is different from the way we think about it. We have God. I think we'll hear that statement too in this segment, that we have God. Don't think we don't, right? That's their thing, right? I don't know if we agree with it, but that's what their thing is. But it's kind of tough. But okay, I know we got a lot to go, so we'll go.
Yes, we do.
After that one, let's roll through some more of the video.
Okay. So why didn't the young people on the panel host run that discussion? They all look 30 plus. Why? Because, Mr. Sanders, it's our show.
Do we have to explain it?
It was before he's not. Wait a minute.
Wasn't it also an opportunity? We're giving the youth an opportunity to say what they gotta say.
Wait,
Right.
no,
And
no,
as you watch more of the video, you will
Yeah,
see.
and put it out there.
hold on. He was saying, why didn't they run the panel, not us? And I'm trying to explain to him because it was the Wars United show that we did at the Congress. That's why we're running it.
And also, the youth did have different sessions where they did have panel people speaking. So they did have their own thing. But this particular episode was us addressing a show that we did back a while ago, episode number 38. So this is part 2.
Yeah, I think you missed the beginning opening where we said, "Welcome to our United show." I think you missed that part, but all right. So you said we're gonna hold off on the next few comments and go right to the back to this.
Right, okay. And then we'll get to Elder Gerard Allen's comment. He's still calling us old. That's okay.
Yeah. All right, I gotta go one for you next. Okay. So
LJ.
Yes. On our last show, you talked about rules in the church. Yes. You said why we were asking the question, why are rules and standards necessary in the church? Why are rules and standards necessary in the church? So basically, if a church doesn't have rules or standards, remember I asked the question, I made me think about how some people come to church with their hats on. You remember that? And you were saying you got to understand the culture. All right, let's talk more about that.
I think coming from a culture now, especially a lot of people are unchurched. A lot of people don't understand the concepts of ministry. A lot of people are raised, a certain way in some certain demographics. So I think having an understanding and having that relationship and being willing to be flexible. We talked about it in our class as well. Not allowing people to change you, but allowing God to change you, because when God changes you, it's constant, it's consistent. But when people change you, it's based on the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think also we have to realize that some of our cultures and standards, some of our standards are cultural. And so I think we have to realize that they may not be as biblically based as we put emphasis on in the past. And so because of that, I think we have to realize or have an openness for people who may not understand our cultural normalcies or our cultural standards.
So let's ask the audience that question. What do you feel about that? Go ahead, Pastor. Yes.
Oh, no, I was going to pass the mic for you.
Well, since you have the mic in your hand, what do you think about that?
Never mind.
Come on back. Yes, sir.
Never mind.
You're already on camera, so I got you already.
I was just trying to be helpful, man. That's a hard question because I really do honestly see from both sides of things. But I feel like, to the point that was already made, to minister in this generation, in this space, we have to recognize that while our cultural norms and our decisions that we make, and even some of our rules may be good for us, how we impart them to other people, we have to be careful so we don't turn them away before we truly win them in their souls. And so at some point we have to make the decision, what's more important here, our rule being followed or the soul coming to Christ? And if we say the soul coming to Christ, then I think we will, not get rid of the rules, but we'll be flexible with them. We partner here. We'll be flexible with them so that we don't lose the soul, right? Because the soul is not going to hell for a hat in the sanctuary. I think we all agree on that. And so then we can be flexible with those rules that won't diminish or push people away. Not saying get rid of the rules, because I do see their place. You know what I mean? I'm not coming for that, because I do see their place. But how we disciple and win souls has to be flexible enough that we can get them in.
No, that's really.
Okay. Let's touch base. It's this where this
He's turning colors over here. He's turning colors.
I mean, this is your thing. I mean, we got some comments. I want to get to the comments too, but go ahead, Simon.
No, we can go to the comments.
Go to the comments. That way he can simmer down some.
Okay, I'll hit the comments. All right.
We can go to because Pastor Jared Gerard, he's got his arms folded after he types. So I know he's preaching. So my church would be fine.
As to your question from before, right?
Yes, my church would be fine. We know that. We love you, sir. You got a wonderful church. I think that's a case-by-case scenario, which is true. If your church doesn't have 45 and younger, who is the blame? We have to equip the young people. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who is to blame?
I would say those 45 and young people are to blame.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them leave older churches to find other places to go that look more like them.
Yes.
And instead of saying, I want to help this sanctuary and my home be a home where people will come to, I'd rather go. And we talked a little bit about that later on the show too. But that is something that I'm wary of, because if you leave in the midst of a battle and then you look at the pastor or look at the leadership and say, oh, well, you don't have a young people, that's whose fault is that? Well, it all depends on why they left. Did they leave because they just wanted to go someplace else that was better, or did they leave because the pastor and leadership pushed them out? It all depends. But I think that that's something that we really have to look into. I guess no one else has anything to say, so we'll go on.
No, I'll say this first, because I know that Pastor Gerard, he's going to have it will be difficult for him, and we are going to be praying, and we hope that the more souls he gets and whatever, because we know he's going to be a good pastor.
Absolutely.
But for being a young pastor, because you have to see a seasoned veteran who's already had a church, and then you have the young people come in, whether you're family members or whatever, he's starting afresh.
Right.
He's starting afresh. So because of the culture and the difference of how we used to and what his job is going to be difficult, but not impossible. I'll say that.
That was deep.
It's going to be difficult, but not impossible. So I understand, and I understand the defense of what you're going to do with your youth, but we're 100% behind you also. Mm-hmm. We may differ in some of the comments that we hear, but we still be 100% behind you, but we just have different views and different ways that we see it. And so I think the rules thing is how you interpret your word rule. It may mean one thing, but it's interpreted.
But your question wasn't to a new established church that is predominantly going to be younger people anyway. Your rule was to an established church that's been around for some time, that had maybe at one time had a very diverse, or still does have a very diverse church by age group. What happens if everybody over that age, because most of those people are the ones working?
Yes.
And it's not, and that might be because that's the way it is. But if those 45 and over, or the most that are working, they know the ins and outs.
Yeah.
Maybe the 25-year-olds don't know the ins and outs. And if they don't work that month, what happens to the church? Maybe it doesn't do what it would normally do. I think that's what you were talking about. You weren't talking about a newly established church that is pretty young.
I think I was just being nice and saying, well done, Gerard, you're doing a fine job.
Yeah, I think, well, all pastors have a tough job. So
exactly.
I go on, I think we have churchgoers, but is the church in us?
And that's going to be part 2 of that question.
Is God ruling our lives each day, or just reserved for Sunday conferences?
Or conferences? That's a good question, because back in the earlier days, we used to go to Sunday school, service, Yip 2, and then evening service, Monday night prayer, and then you may have rehearsal throughout the week, and you still find God was with us. Because if God wasn't with us, we would be tore up on Monday morning trying to go to work or school. But you saw the difference, how God still kept us to stay focused, even though we may have been at church all. We were talking the other night about midnight musicals in the DC area. How this one particular church would have a midnight musical. We would go to those midnight musicals and still function the next day. That's not happening today.
And of course, coming from England also is I look today they couldn't handle the schedule we had in England because you was nearly going to church at least 5 days a week.
Yes,
because there was different churches, and you know that Sunday was an all-day process. We all know that. You went, you ate, you got back up, and it was evening service. And of course, times have changed, and times it's just totally different. But that's what we went through. And I think church was in us because we wanted to be there.
it was exciting.
It's like we had to be there, or we had to be there. We wanted to be there. So that was then.
Well, then again, that brings about the question: are the youth today motivated to want to be at church?
That's a good question.
Because again, looking at us, I couldn't wait to get to the church. I was excited to get there. I mean, for one, you got to hear the word, and two, you're able to hook up with your like-minded people. So
I think they're motivated. I just think they're motivated in a different way.
okay.
Right. And I don't want to speak for them because I'm not a young person. I grew up in the same area you guys did. I was in church all day on Sunday. Got up for school on Monday, still went to school on Monday, church on Tuesday evening, got to school on Wednesday, church Thursday, church Friday. Then we went somewhere on Saturday, back to church on Sunday. And I played sports on Saturday just like every other kid did. I did all those things. I went to school every day, and I made it. And I'm not any different from any other person around. And that's what it was, tiring service, man. If there was a time, you don't know what time.
Night prayer, good Lord Jesus.
You were home.
You ain't going home until you get it.
Yeah, you were home. Sometimes you faked it just to get out of there.
Yes. Sweating bullets, snot. Your mouth will be open.
I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was. If it was necessary, but it was. We walked in. But that's just something that we gotta, get to at some point. There's a lot of great points going on right now.
Yes, it is.
Back in 1980s, Youth Congress was in the summer when school was out, and it was massive. I imagine it must be hard traveling during school.
Good point.
Ken, brought up a good point, but they did have a weekend where school was out. School was out that weekend. And they moved it to that time of the year because there's not much going on in November. I think it was November, October last year too, right? So I think they moved it out of the summer because there's not much happening. But again, or did they move it because, and Gerard is on, I'm sure LJ and maybe Sean is on, maybe they can tell us, did you move it because of you didn't want to impede on your summers? Because, those folks like to get away on their vacations. They don't want to make it a vacation. They want to make a church and do a vacation later on. So when we went in the summertime, it was vacation. You went to Florida, you better get a day or two to stay longer to go to vacation. That's what it was. So I don't know. I don't know. But good point.
I want to speak to that one. So Larry Sanders says, it was the Youth Congress. You all should have sat and let them do the show. I respectfully disagree. That's just like me going on The View and telling the people on The View, you sit down, I'm going to run your show. No, that's not happening, sir.
Or football.
Right. We were the host, and actually we were invited to come and do the show. So that's why we were there. So no, we were doing a continuation from a previous show. So the youth were not in charge. We were in charge. So hopefully, Brother Larry, that helps answer your question.
Yeah, Reverend Larry, I have a question. This is my question. It's not theirs, but this is my question. Do you go to a church, or do you go to a church, and which church that you go to? Is it our organization, a different organization? Because we want you to come on our show and bring other people on the show too, because this is great conversation and we love this. Keep throwing it. Keep throwing it, please.
Right. And so, and of course, Gerard now he's sending us happy faces.
Something else is coming up. That's why.
You call us old. That's why.
He's probably doing
folding
this
his arms. Oh, he's got his hands in the front.
Oh yeah, got his hands in the front
because there's another question coming up.
Oh, dirty.
Whoa, I don't think people don't want to help. I think they don't want to fight against what has what has already been established. Let me take my glasses off.
That might not be a bad point, though.
He's right.
He's
hitting it right there. He's right.
Because sometimes when you fight against establishment, man, it becomes more of a hassle than you really want to deal with.
I'm sorry, it's not 100% true. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll tell you my story. When I became pastor back in 2007,
He used the word too.
I'm a young guy. So baptismals, my father, who was a much older man, when people were to baptize, he gave it to certain people that were elders and ministers to baptize.
Mm-hmm.
But when I came, I said, you know what? I want to baptize people because I want to establish myself as the pastor and as the spiritual leader. So I want to baptize people. So I did for a while, for 2 or 3 years. I was only one who baptized people.
Mm-hmm.
One of the elders was mad at me. And I said I pushed him out because he was old. And I said, no. It's because, and that's what I think Gerard is saying. People don't want to deal with that. Just because you're not doing it anymore doesn't mean we're pushing you out. We just want somebody else to step in that role, and they need to experience it. But instead of complaining or holding it, come and talk to somebody and let them know, hey, this is what's going on. I'm wondering, you don't need me anymore? No, that's not what we're doing. Okay, let's talk about it.
Right.
But I think that's what George's talking about.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to run any more of the video, or how are we going to do the rest?
We have 15 minutes to go.
Man.
Time has gone.
Comments, man. Okay, let's run through comments real quick. And not comment on them.
Yes.
We'll just run through them real quick and not comment on them because we have a lot. We just read them.
I think today you have lots of wayward people going here and there, following a crowd instead of following and trusting God.
My goodness.
Dexter says each generation has unique knowledge and experience to share. For example, older generations can share their life experience while younger generations can share their knowledge of technology.
All right.
Which is true. And I use my children. Technology, I'm not afraid to ask.
The church has standards that shouldn't be lowered or taken away. If we were expected to uphold standards, why should exceptions be made for this generation? We can get into if we had time to get into, I probably could get into that, but they do talk.
We don't have time for that one.
Talk about the next segment. No, that's not the case. LOL. We moved it because of the expense for the families who would attend convocation and in Congress a month or two, right? So expenses. Yeah, right. Wait, somebody go ahead and read Mike's. Somebody go read Mike's. Come on. Okay, youth today also have distractions that we couldn't have dreamed of when we were growing up. Also, many parents have different relationships with the Lord than our parents did. Good point, man. I don't disagree.
Let me say something with that too, because I did write something. See, our parents, when they came to church, when they made us go.
Yep.
They made us go to church. So if mom and dad were going to church, children were not staying home. Okay. Then we go to our generation. We taking our kids to church because we're not leaving them home. Okay. Now there's another generation after us, your children's children. Are they doing the same thing?
No, they're asking the question, do you want to go to church?
Yeah. Do you want to go to church? I don't feel too good. How many times do you tell your parents, I don't feel good? Well, we're going to pray for it when we get to church.
Right. No, you're right.
No
joke. That's right.
It. That was what my mom said. My mom told me the best place to be is the house of the Lord. You sick? Jesus heals you. Let's go to church.
So that's my point there. It's changing. So now the parents, what are your children saying when it's time to go to church?
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I should have asked that. Yeah. Go ahead.
So do you think that this is not just cultural, it could also be generational differences or generational rules? If anybody has a thought, is it just because maybe I'm from a school of thought of this, And the generation that's coming into school a part of this, and they don't mesh, and sometimes it causes a conflict, right? That could be a possibility.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I also have to say, in that same token, if you look at the data of how many people left during your generation, but how many people stayed during our generation, or is trying to stay, but feel as if they're being kicked out. Because I come to church with a hat on, and I haven't grown up in church, so I don't know that, you know, it's disrespectful, quote unquote, to wear my hat in the sanctuary, where I've never been taught that. Yes, I know I go to the courthouse, but I keep hearing people say, come as you are in church. Well, I am comfortable with my hat on. And so is it about being, you know, do you at that point allow them to be comfortable to still see God, or allow your, I don't want to say religion, but allow your preference to keep them out of the face of God?
Audience, what do you think about that?
Please come.
Right over here.
Oh,
I think a lot of it is generational.
you got to come over
Come over
here.
here. So we can get you on camera.
Okay, be on camera. That way we have evidence of whatever you said.
I think it is both generational and cultural. And I think as we get to know the Word of God, we are able now to decipher what is biblically and what is culturally. I'm Jamaican, Pentecostal, grew up crazy. But I mean, I just think that it's just my mother, when we would have Thanksgiving, and we like, Mom, can you bless the food? She goes, wait a minute, I gotta go get a hat. Yeah. And when we got older, we were like, what in the world? And then when she moved to Florida, sometimes you gotta move away to see things. When she went to Florida, she went to a church, she called me the next day, she said, Jennifer, she said, oh my God, I feel the Holy Ghost, and I never have a hot tub. And it was at that moment, she realized that it wasn't about what she had on her head or what they had on their head. It was about embracing the Spirit of God, and the Spirit of God deals differently. And I think it's like we always say that I thank God for my foundation, wouldn't give it up for the world. But now that I'm older, that I understand, I don't think as a child, but I got to know the Word for myself. So I think that even in this generation, and I think about even, like sometimes we don't even know why guys wear hats in church. I have a friend who he wears hat everywhere because he has one of those, you know, when you get the cut, the barber, and so he always has his hair cut. Like, so if we turn him away because he's trying to preserve that, like somebody said, we're talking about the soul, not about what you wear. So I think as we grow older, and I think for the young folks of this generation, you've just got to recognize that there's some people that just not going to like it, and you're just going to have to deal with it. Right? I think that's just where we are.
Do we have to deal with it? I mean, the reality is a lot of young adults are leaving our churches and going to churches where they can wear a hat on their head or can wear certain things. They're not going to go into different things.
Right, and I think that I think we were talking earlier about is the relationship that our young people have with the pastors. And that is vitally important to have that understanding that they're not going to look like us, they're not going to smell like us, they're not going to do, but we have to expect the Holy Spirit to even convert them if it's just something.
And I know we have someone coming, I was going to say as well, there are times as a pastor or, you know, in leadership, sometimes you just got to let me get up off them, right? Like lead them, I got this person, they're under my wing, and God has me specifically assigned to them. So they will wear their hat and you will not say anything. And if you don't like it, I know it may mess with your tithe and all that, but there are plenty of other churches that you can attend, right? Because at this time I understand that the need is beyond what you feel comfortable with. I'm not concerned about what you feel comfortable with, I'm concerned about this soul and them reaching God, because that's the ultimate goal in my mind.
I'm going to put a pin in that because we have a person here, but I'm going to
All I want to say is, like they say, we're trying to save souls. And a lot of times, like when I came into the church, I put on what I want to put on. And when I got into the church and started learning and loving on God, that conversation we had me change the way I look. Yeah. Had me decide, okay, no, this ain't right. He don't want, no, let's cover it up. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times it's not what you say, it's how everything is being presented. Mm-hmm. So when they walk into the house and they see, oh no, wait a minute, these men ain't wearing no hat. Okay, I wore a hat this time. I wore a hat a month ago. I wear a hat now. You see me walking through the door, I ain't got no hat on. Because now I'm feeling the love. I'm seeing, and ain't nobody telling me it's me and God having that conversation.
Right. Yeah. Which is important.
So that changes me.
Which is important. I totally agree with you. It comes to the spirit changing. Mm-hmm. We change, the change may not stick. The spirit changes, it's going to stick, right? But I'm going to share a point because you said something, Pastor, that you said, you know, there's other places. Okay, Gerard. You said something, Gerard, Pastor Gerard. That, you said something that we have to be careful of, don't we? Because you're taking in a generation, but then you're also asking the generation to move.
No, I didn't ask you to move. I didn't ask you to move. I didn't say
no, he said,
what I said you are welcome to go somewhere else if this gentleman is coming in here with his hat on and it is offending you so much, take a Sunday and go visit somewhere else.
But a senior like myself might say, well, you're asking me to move on.
I'm not asking you to move on, but I want you, because sometimes you have to leave to understand how grateful you are for where God has you assigned. And so where you may go to a church where you know the Spirit is in your church, right? You know that, when the pastor preaches or whenever the case is, you know the Spirit resides there, right? And what I'm saying is if the pastor has vision to say, leave this gentleman alone because he's wearing his hat, right? Leave him alone, and you don't trust me enough that God is working. That's what I'm saying.
That's better. Because for me, it's about, okay, I'm gonna say to you, hey, I'm here for a purpose. My job is too. And for that, I need you to support my job.
Yeah.
I can't have you undermine it because that doesn't work.
Right.
This is what I would like to do. Let me handle this one.
Yeah.
Let me handle this. Watch how I handle it. And maybe the next one you can handle.
Yeah.
Well, let me handle this one, and then we see where it goes from there. I think that I learned sort of like one of our mothers was, don't ever offer people someplace to go someplace because they're going to end up going because they just want a reason to go. Mm-hmm. They want a reason to go.
So is that not getting rid of dead?
Well, it's good too, but we don't want to be a cause.
Definitely, I agree, right? I don't want to just be like,
you want to be yes, but we don't want to be a cause.
Yes.
Right. That's a different show. We'll talk about this one.
Now, if Simon was here, his famous phrase would be, hit like, hit subscribe. So I'm going to ask you the same thing. Hit like and subscribe on our YouTube channel and Facebook page. For a reason, QR code is not working well, but if you just type in Warriors Unite for Christ or Facebook, Mark Simon, WFC, you'll see our beautiful faces. Hit like and subscribe. So, from our last show, yes, please.
I think we also need to make the disclaimer, we're not anti-standard. And I think that tends to be the narrative that's created. We have these conversations. So I think we need to make sure that that's known. We're not anti-standard. And if we're not saying go against what your pastor's saying, but we are saying that we need to change how we welcome people when we walk in the door. And I think we need to be mindful of not even the things we say, the looks that we give. And body language is important, so people can feel when they're not welcome. So I think we just need to that. I just wanted to make sure that disclaimer was out there.
Well, that's good you said that because I was brought up in the session we had downstairs. You need to check those you have working your parking lot, your ushers, security greeters, and if they're in the wrong position, move them. Because they're the ones they see first when they come to your church. So if I'm greeted in the wrong, it was a good example when this young lady was getting up in our session, and Gerard said, whoa, where are you going with this? But it was a good opportunity to see how someone can react when you're approached by someone who is not cordial.
Okay, so I had to stop there. We were running out of time, and I think there's some comments that, the folks say, some of our folks they make. A lot of the points
here, man, he's having a hard time keeping it together.
I want to know who was leaving back in the day. Who was leaving our churches back then? I'm just saying. But I just love what the sister had said. Yeah. She said when she came in, she was dressed how she was. Okay, yeah. But then she said when she saw, she looked, and she was with God, and he was all in her.
Mhm.
She saw the difference. So then I guess if I was there, the question would be then, how long would that take? Should it take a long time for you to notice that difference or what? But and then also I'm trying to make this quick. He said something. Oh, what did he say? No, carry on, because they said so much stuff that
Yeah, no, but I mean, the lady made a great point, but you're right. But
Yes.
I think the length of time is dependent upon the person, how serious the person is, of course. But I think that the point being made is that we have to understand that maybe back in the day, we told folks, don't wear. You need to wear this. Don't wear that. Wear this because of. And there was a reason why. It was we just didn't do it because we wanted to be separate from everybody else. But now that being separate is not based on a outward appearance like we might have had back in the day and before us, but it's more of an inward appearance. But oftentimes the inward man doesn't reflect well outwardly because people don't see it. So if I'm still in my Timbs and my jeans and my goose down jacket on the corner with enough spirit in me, somebody driving by won't see the difference. Right. And that's where I think is where it's difficult for us to have that conversation, because I do understand it. But how do we explain the difference when I'm dressed like everybody else?
And I just wanted to defend him on the comment. The hat situation thing, I think it was going a little bit too far. We have never, ever turned no one away because they had a hat on. It was a phrase that we said because back in the day, men would come in whatever, and sometimes we're not saying that we will turn people away. We never have, because people who come to the church now is definitely not how we used to go to church. But we greet them. We're doing that. I'm not saying every church does, but we love them the same things. The youth will be happy. Whoever comes through that door, it's a handshake, a high five, or whatever. Welcome to Transformation Church. We have not, the hat thing, I think, was going a little bit too pushy here. But the hat thing was just what we did back then, just asked. But we've had people who come in that church with hats on. We've said it, but left them and let them do that, and they still come back. So that was defense on our part. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's good. Ken said, "Why would you be on the corner?" A lot of reasons. Because if your friends hang out there, that's where you hang out with your friends. But
evangelize.
Yeah, there's tons of reasons. But regardless, but
it's fine. I'm gonna say 5:29.
5:29.
I went back in time.
It is 30 seconds we have left. We have 30
Greece.
Greece.
I think that must have been the fastest hour that we've had, because we would just go.
We didn't even go through all the comments. We still have another 10 minutes of stuff that we wanted to show for this show before we have another half, the second show. So you can see how deep it got.
And we're gonna thank we're gonna thank Gerard for being involved. Please, when you have your busy schedule, join in. Keep joining in typing whenever you can. Get some of your friends to come in and do that. But we appreciate you coming on the show.
Right.
We've had some new people on here also on the show too, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
Right. And again, thanks to the Youth Congress staff for allowing us to come, or invited us to come up to continue this conversation. Again, there's more that we want to show. So we might show it next week. We'll talk about that, how we're going to do that. But stay tuned. You just hear us say,
hey, you're welcome.
Oh, he did it.
No, you did it. You all did it.
Huh?